Last summer, we spent 3 glorious weeks cruising the Rhine and Moselle rivers. We enjoyed the experience so much, we decided to follow up this summer with a land tour of Italy. Fortunately, we had just received a federal bailout check, which we invested with Grand Circle Travel. So here we go, Rome, the Amalfi Coast, and Tuscany. The hotel in Rome was conveniently located, and we found the Eternal City easy to explore. Our first night, we met fellow travelers and settled in with a nice dinner on the hotel terrace. The next morning, Mauricio turned us loose after a brief orientation, along with some essential Italian phrases. Andiamo means let's go, so we headed to the subway. First stop, the Spanish Steps. Since there was no room left to sit, we put on our walking shoes and headed toward the Tiber River. We found a quaint restaurant and tried out our Italian lingo and Trastevere. Buongiorno, we'll have vino rosso. We walked back to the Veterans Memorial, an amazing tribute to fallen soldiers. And after putting several miles on our feet and a blister on my foot, we felt we deserved a pizza and our very first gelato of the trip. Obviously, a well-rounded day. Rosemary, a local guide, provided us with an excellent review of ancient Roman history. Our first stop was the Colosseum, 2,000 years old. Now that is old. It was easy to imagine the gladiators and animals ready for the kill. The Arch of Constantine is the city's largest and best preserved arch. From the Colosseum on to the Forum, the heart of the Roman Empire for almost 1,000 years. We were surprised by the enormity of these structures. The Colosseum was capable of holding 80,000 people, and the Forum served as the political and commercial center of Rome. On another day, we discovered a terrific outdoor market and Piazza Navona. Then on to the Pantheon, one of Europe's best preserved ancient buildings. Despite the passage of some 2,000 years, its majestic outlines have remained virtually unchanged. The brilliance of the open dome has astounded architects through the ages. We were, of course, obligated to throw a coin in the Trevi fountain, ensuring we will return to Rome. A long hike through Palatine Hill completed our day. Rosemary joined our group once again and guided us through the Vatican, world's smallest sovereign state. There are no words to describe the artwork. My favorite was the tapestries. Or was it the map room? Or maybe it was the statues. Well, the Basilica was like nothing we'd ever seen, and Michelangelo's Pieta is now behind glass, but still an emotional experience. Bob was able to sneak a photo of the Sistine Chapel in the no-photo zone. Fortunately, he was not caught by the Swiss guards. The Vatican is especially beautiful at night. Having just watched Angels and Demons, we were intrigued with many of the churches and fountains featured in the movie, especially Castle St. Angelo. A special dinner at a quaint restaurant preceded a night tour of the city. An added treat was the fine music and an anniversary song dedicated to us and our new friends Peggy and Hod. We've enjoyed Rome, but now it's time to join our other traveling companions and our tour director, Emanuela, Emmy, known to us as Mommy. She was energetic, knowledgeable, and just so much fun. The next morning, Luigi, our bus driver, navigated the streets of Rome to give us an overview of the city before heading to the cliffside town of Sorrento. The day passed quickly as Emmy kept us entertained on the way to this romantic spot on the Amalfi Coast. We settled into our hotel and enjoyed a pasta dinner. What else? We are in Italy. A beautiful sunset capped off the day. After getting oriented to the streets of Sorrento and the three harbor areas, we were off to our home-hosted luncheon. Pasquale, our host, seemed to be a really big deal in this town. We heard the word mafioso mentioned. Well, we thoroughly enjoyed the homegrown food, deliciously prepared, and of course, the homemade wine. Since lunch went on for hours, we decided on a lighter picnic fare that evening, and we were treated to another glorious sunset. We had already seen a lot of Roman ruins, but our visit to the Villa San Marco, part of the Stabian villas in Grignano, was another whole new experience. It is one of 6 villas which survived in this former luxury district of the ancient Roman Empire. It was covered in ash following the Mount Vesuvius eruption in 79 AD. The excavation of this site is being supported by the Grand Circle Travel Foundation. Well, from ancient history to gastronomic history. Pasta making has been a mainstay of Grignano for over 400 years. We visited a large pasta factory exporting pasta all over the world. The drive around the Amalfi coast is a nail-biter, a zigzag road alongside jagged cliffs. Because of the ruggedly gorgeous shoreline, it's often referred to as Italy's most beautiful coastline. We arrived in Amalfi in time for a boat ride, which gave us a whole new view of the rock formations, gorgeous blue water, and hillside towns tucked back in the bays. We had a wonderful lunch with a wonderful view in the little town of Scala, followed by a trip to Ravello. The plan was to return to Sorrento in late afternoon. Well, that was the plan. However, an oncoming bus had mechanical difficulties, making it impossible for others to pass on the narrow, winding road. 3 hours later, we headed toward home. While the rest of the group traveled to Pompeii, we decided on a down day. We never dreamt it would turn out so well. We wandered to Marina Grande, the fishing village. On the way, we passed Belvedere Cyrene Hotel and thought, hey, this would be a perfect spot for lunch. Well, we enjoyed the fishing village as it is where the real people of Sorrento live. After a stop for a cold drink, we trekked back to Hotel Cyrene for a most wonderful lunch with a perfect view. The hell with the real people, this is great! 2.5 hours later, Doris and I headed for the shops, while the guys headed back to the hotel. The day was not over yet. That evening we were treated to a dinner show. Dinner was delicious, and the show far exceeded any expectations. The tenor sounded just like Pavarotti. It was a most memorable day. Our trip to the Isle of Capri turned out to be a bit of a disappointment. A beautiful setting, but hot, crowded, and touristy. We arrived by ferry and immediately boarded a small boat for a tour around the island. Our last day in Sorrento found us shopping at the market, then found us again at Hotel Cyrene for lunch. A nice lazy day to get ready for our trip to Tuscany. There were too many highlights to mention. A couple of unexpected delights were an impromptu parade and a wonderful after-dinner drink, limoncello. We loved it. Emmy, our mommy for the trip, had a special treat in store for us as we embarked on our trip to Tuscany. We stopped at Monte Cassino, which played an important role in World War II history. Veterans from the United States had sent money to restore this beautiful monastery which had been bombed during the war. The cemetery on the hill is a memorial to Polish soldiers who died during the war. The monastery, run by the Benedictine monks, is a peaceful, beautiful place. We could have spent the day. But back on our road to our destination of Chianciano. The hotel was certainly adequate, but the real highlight was the view from our balcony. What a panorama! Our first day in Tuscany, we headed to Radicofani, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was a beautiful drive to this little picturesque village. I really wonder what would happen if you planted white geraniums. Following a stop at the Etruscan Museum in Chianciano and a quick Kodak stop from the Old Town, we headed to a lovely farmhouse for lunch. So fun! Too much wine, and then a 2-hour nap. After this typical Tuscan lunch, all we needed for dinner was a little cheese and wine from our balcony. A nice introduction to this lovely land. The medieval city of Siena is where the famous Palio horse race is held in Piazza del Campo twice a year. Each district has their own flag and, of course, their own horse in the race. The cathedral is a dominant architectural landmark in the city. The Orcia Valley is a jewel with watercolor landscapes. On the drive to Pienza, we stopped at a marvelous church just outside Montepulciano. A harpist was practicing for a wedding, and we all just sat there mesmerized by the music and the beauty of this cathedral. The city of Pienza features sweeping vistas overlooking the valley. We thought Disney had put it together, but it turned out to be Pope Pius II. A wedding was being held in their cathedral during our visit. We enjoyed just wandering the streets and then meeting for a great lunch in a family-owned restaurant. On the way back to our hotel, we stopped at a Roman bath. And one of them was the site of our lunch. The dessert was unbelievable. We stopped to admire the town of St. Mary of the Angels, located just below Assisi. Here in the Basilica is the small chapel built by St. Francis with his very own hands. Our last day in Tuscany found us as independent travelers, catching a bus and a train, and then the funicular up to the little town of Orvieto. It was another one of our favorites, perhaps because of the view. The Duomo was huge and beautifully adorned with frescoes and statues. One of the churches we visited had been built in 1032. We all had sad faces as we boarded the bus for Ostia, our last stop for catching the plane home. Oh, we hope our coin in the Trevi fountain brings us back to this lovely land. Images that will always come to mind are the flowers, the clothes hanging on the line, the old men, the scooters, the beautiful churches, the incredible artwork, beautiful brides, storybook landscapes, our fellow travelers, and of course, Emmy. Ciao!